Once again, we are back from Onimonogatari, and I really don't know what to think of this one, because, well, not really much has been discussed. There isn't really an antagonist to talk about. Well, kind of. If I was to recap, it would basically revolve around being hunted by concentrated darkness, and Araragi discovers his Italian heritage. Yeah. But let's carry on regardless, and get into the next episode. Okay. This kind of actually does call for a bit of exposition. Don't get jealous. I don't think she's talking to us here. Well, maybe. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. I wonder if that was actually written like that, or if it's just the translator making references. That would be an issue if you're trying to create a minion. I kinda want to see Shinobu with an army of penguins. Although I can't remember which is which. I think penguins are closer to the southern hemisphere, but I might be wrong on that one. Joystick pushing jump. Well, I can't remember her name, but she did evade the darkness with that jump, so... Can Shinobu drown? So, in a story about darkness and Shinobu, well, her origin of appearing in Japan and apparently creating her first followers, this song does actually suffice. So, yeah, Shinobu is actually either giving just basic exposition and telling us got a flashback, or she's talking to Araragi based on that don't get jealous thing at the beginning about the first minion, and because he's now connected to her. Yeah. Shinobu time. How long are we going to spend in this kind of flashback drawn story thing? So her landing in the lake essentially created a tsunami, and or if that description made it rain. I wonder if this corresponds to an actual time in Japan that they're trying to link it to. I don't know of any vast droughts, so... I bet she was quite glad to be revered as a god. Now is she the host of some radio show? Yeah, I suppose. Genetic diversity is, I think you know the answer to that. Merely. Someone worthy of being worshipped? Yeah, sure. I don't. Unless she has been infected by the darkness like itself, Hachiguchi only really maybe landed on her face as they came off the bike, so I would have thought a ghost was more solid. Be able to take a few more hits. Well, don't all gods do that kind of thing? Or humans pretend that it's what the gods themselves want. Okay. I kind of want to see what clothes were made now. It's probably something really, really dumb. Hmm. So what they're witnessing her as a god. So that's what would. Yeah, okay. I get what she's saying here. So she created her first minion to instill that belief into the people to try and regain power. Hmm. From that line of thinking, the normal humans would be able to ascend to godhood, which actually has been in various stories throughout the ages, so. He? Ah, I thought it was like ancient feudal Japan's version of Oshino. Was he the possessor of the sword that she's now in control of? That was a really long sword. Where did the stained glass windows come from? You, if it's a name that he doesn't recognize, does it matter? I kind of like how they're just doing this story while waiting for Hachikushi to wake up. Yep. And at that point, she hadn't done anything to garner any bad reputation, maybe? So, yeah, it would make sense that the first quote unquote minion would be someone of rather high standing. A replica. Okay. Reviver. Oh, that's an interesting thing to add into the mix now, isn't it? Does it still exist in this world? Is it going to be an ex machina in the future? So when did they turn? But didn't it say something about her personality earlier? In So she was drawing them. Like at the shrine when yeah. So how is she able to stay in this area? Although aberrations have kind of started to conglomerate, but how much did they actually investigate though? Then again, people going missing and dying probably wasn't that of a rare occurrence. Really? You sat there and did nothing for that long? Hmm. Unless it means that. Oh, okay. They had disappeared as well. Well, that's not good. And if they had, they disappeared. Was she doing it unknowingly, or was it due to these other evil energy? Is this the darkness that are coming in and here? Hmm. So is the fact that it's returned because she stayed here? So she buries her head in the sand as well. The. Mhm. Did they have any actual information this time about it? Although it does make sense, her being revered as a god and being completely complacent about it. But. Well, here we're getting to the crux of the matter. I can see his hand in that. That's good. And she kind of regenerated from that. The fact that they drew it in such anatomical detail there. Never? So what, this darkness kind of hid in waiting for her? Or just stopped existing? Hmm. So what, she took his hand with him to Antarctica? Hmm. Did she... So did she impart regen to him as well? Must have been a lonely existence. Mm-hmm. At least the cold would preserve the wrist for a bit. So she revived a wrist. So she made Fing. Mm, okay. I'm trying to find a way to disagree with her statement there, but. And was that. Does she regret that action? And that entire episode was exposition story time from Shinobu. And it was almost like reading a book where you imagined, well, we had some visuals to go along with it, but we kind of had to imagine the events that were transpiring. Interesting way of storytelling. And as it was stated that the sword that he used previously, which is an aberration killer, is a mere replica of the original sword, that lends credence to the idea that the aberration reviver is also a potential possibility. So did he turn into one of the things like in the other timeline? Oh, there's a story for later. Well, the fact that he killed monsters and basically became one. I mean, it's an understandable kind of reaction. And throughout this entire conversation, we're still no closer into understanding the darkness. She she's gone through various emotions, hasn't she? Was she done with not having? Well, was she done with having companionship at that point? Hmm. I think there's a meaning behind him that's well doing what he did a bit further than what's been explained, but that's just conjecture right now. Hmm. Huh. So she was affected by this. much more than she would probably be willing to admit. Soliloquy. Apart from learning a bit of Shinobu's past, and knowing that the darkness exists back then and kind of eradicated entire villages that were kind of devoted to her, and then losing one that she had got acquainted with and actually maybe cared for in a way. There's really not much for me to say at this point. Kind of wish there was, but there we go. How many episodes are left? How many of them is Hachiguchi just going to stay sleeping or unconscious for? Does she hold some sort of key for stopping the darkness? Either way, I really want to find out. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and any kind of support via likes or as you will is greatly appreciated. And if you hadn't heard, there's probably a vote going on over in Discord, so head over there now. You can use the link in the description. And I want to watch more Monogatari. Unless you want to take a break here, you can continue on with me for the next one. But either way, get some rest. And I'll see you in the next one.